A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
You got f***ing grow up, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome aboard another episode of the Gallant Says podcast, available live at twitch.tv/Gallant Says or youtube.com/Paul Gallant. You can also get it in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. It is Friday. Got to get down on Friday, January 27th of 2023. And we've only got 3 NFL games left the rest of the year, unless you count whatever the fuck the NFL is doing next year with that Pro Bowl deal. Check that next weekend with that Pro Bowl deal. I don't know. I don't care. I haven't watched in years. I can't believe it even got the ratings that it did over the last couple of years. We got 2 conference championship games, and we have a Super Bowl. And I'm very excited for them because I do think that you are getting, I would say, 4 of the top 5, 4 of the top 6 teams in the NFL in this game. NFC, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles with home field advantage throughout the NFC. They've been listening to Creed at practice today. So let's go there. So let's make our escape. Come on, let's go there. I don't know the rest of the words to that, but there's no denying that Creed is fantastic. Full disclosure, I only have a couple of CDs from when I was growing up as a kid, but I have 2 CDs by Creed. Human Clay, Weathered, in addition to the rest of my CD collection, which also featured Ricky Martin, a Jim Croce tape cassette, a Seal tape cassette. ADD, get it back in check, Paul. Okay. You also have in that NFC Championship game the San Francisco 49ers. The Eagles are 2.5-point home favorites. Derpy Entertainment, thank you for being the only human here. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. We've also got, in the AFC Championship game, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're there for the 5th straight year. The game will be played at Arrowhead Stadium for the 5th straight year. And the Cincinnati Bengals, who have beaten the Chiefs 3 times in a row. Kansas City is a 1-point favorite. It has been going back and forth, the spread for that game, based off of, I guess, the gut feeling about Patrick Mahomes' ankle. As far as overall thoughts on the game, I want to start off with the Eagles game against the San Francisco 49ers. This is all about who controls the line of scrimmage. And I know people are going to make it about the quarterbacks, about the rookie quarterback starting in a conference championship game. Brock Purdy, no rookie quarterbacks ever made it to a Super Bowl, and they're going to look at Jalen Hurts on the other side of things and say, man, he's come a long way since last year's playoff where the Buccaneers kicked the Eagles' ass. But this is all about the trenches. The Philadelphia Eagles probably have the best offensive line in the NFL, and if you take a look at the list of names that they have on their defensive line, where Ndamukong Suh's like a 3rd-string defensive lineman, Fletcher Cox still there, Brandon Graham still there, Jordan Davis, the rookie. I think the Eagles have the best top-to-bottom offensive and defensive line in the league. And it's not to say that San Francisco doesn't have that. They might have the best left tackle in the league in Trent Williams. They might have the best defensive lineman in the league in Nick Bosa. They also have Fred Warner at the mid-level playing linebacker. But while I do think that maybe you could argue that the 49ers and the 49ers have the superior players at each of those positions, I think that this is a team game and that Philadelphia's offensive line is terrifying to go up against. The only way I think that San Francisco can pull off a win is if somehow Christian McCaffrey goes gangbusters against the Eagles linebackers, who I feel like is the one place that if you're San Francisco, that's where you want to attack. George Kittle has a big game too. But I don't think that's going to happen. I keep on thinking that eventually Brock Purdy's magic streak is going to end. I think we're all thinking that to an extent. I would especially believe that would happen if you watched, the game against the Cowboys. He was throwing almost interceptions over and over and over again. The Eagles have in Darius Slay and in James Bradbury, 2 of the top corners in the game this season at the very least. Maybe the best 1-2 corner combination in the league right now. You would think that at some point they're going to get their hands on a errant Brock Purdy throw. Because Purdy's been great at not making mistakes, but he sure has come close to making mistakes. And then I look at the coaches, and while I'm not the biggest Nick Sirianni fan, more on that in a little bit, I feel like Kyle Shanahan has enough of a track record of like random fuck-ups and bad moments to make you feel like even though he's probably the better coach, that this is going to go Philadelphia's way. Derpy Entertainment singing along with me to Kiss from a Rose. I think that's the name of the song, right? There used to be a gray tower alone on the sea. You became the light on the dark side of me. And love remained a drug that's the high, not the pill. I'll sing along. It's a fun Friday show. On the AFC Championship side of things, I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game. I do. He's going to win the MVP this year. Just take a look at the first-team All-Pro votes. He got, I think, 49 of them. Generally, I think the All-Pro votes are made at the same time as the MVP votes. I feel like he's going to win it, but I don't think that this Chiefs team is as good without Tyreek Hill. Still damn good. Travis Kelce's been awesome this postseason. Without Tyreek Hill, though, there's a bit of an equalizer, I think. And with Mahomes' ankle being banged up, no matter what he's trying to portray himself as being going into this game, I don't care how many drugs they put into that thing, how many needles they stick in him. He's going to be somewhat less mobile. And Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals, if you've watched the 3 games that we've seen between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, the Bengals and the Chiefs over the last couple of years, you'd notice that Anarumo's thrown something different at Mahomes every single time. Well, this time, I think he's got an opportunity to pounce on Mahomes' weakness. And I think what you definitely want to do in a game like this is probably send pressure at him. Mahomes is going to make some big plays, but and the Bengals do have some one boomer bust corner in Eli Apple, who every now and then makes a massive fuck up. But I really like that matchup for the Bengals. And I especially like the matchup for the Bengals because they have been master motivators. You probably saw this earlier in the week. Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, a guy who I think we all thought was like, who the fuck is this guy? He's probably not that good going into last year, has all of a sudden like become a coach that you have to admit is good, even though not many people want to admit he's good. Listen to people talking about him in NFL circles. They're not the biggest fans of him. I don't quite get it. I don't think this organization is just Joe Burrow, but whatever. Zach Taylor, in an interview with Cincinnati media, had this to say when asked about how he finds motivation for his players.
I take whatever I can get. And yeah, it's probably the opposite of what people. Yeah, 20 weeks in, I'm absolutely looking for anything. You know, week 1's easy. Week 20, you'll take anything you can get, and I'll search every inch of the internet to get it.
And he's not going to have to search very far. That's the unfortunate thing here for the Kansas City Chiefs, because oh boy, one of their players really fucked up here. How many guys know who Willie Gay is? If you are a Russell Wilson hater like myself, you might have enjoyed during a Broncos-Chiefs game earlier this year when the Kansas City Chiefs linebacker essentially Dikembe Mutombo'd or NFL Street, NBA Streeted him, jumps up in the air, catches a ball that he tipped, and basically runs over Russell Wilson in the process on his way to a pick 6. Somehow Denver found their way back into that game. But Willie Gay was interviewed by local media in Kansas City. And here is what he had to say about those Cincinnati Bengals, specifically the Bengals offense.
I'm just excited to be playing football, man. That stuff is just what comes with the game, you know. We, like Coach Reed said, we don't do no talking. We just go handle business when it's time to go.
All right, pause for a second. So you might have heard right there, Willie Gay asked this thing that has come up this week. I've never fucking heard it before. Apparently there's some message going around that Arrowhead Stadium is now Burrowhead Stadium because Joe Burrow's done so well there. So the reporter's first question, which you probably couldn't hear because the audio wasn't great, he asked, like, oh, what do you think about Arrowhead Stadium being called Burrowhead? And he's like, I'm not going to talk any trash. I'm not going to talk any trash. Here's the problem. Because you would think if you say, Andy Reid told us not to talk any trash, et cetera, that he wouldn't talk any trash. Well, here's more Willie Gay.
What is it about that Bengals offense that maybe impresses you the most? You played them a few times.
Nothing.
Okay.
God damn it, Willie Gay! What are you fucking doing? And I'm not rooting for the Chiefs. I want the Bengals to win this game, but you literally just said a second ago. Nah, I'm not about that trash talk. And then you're asked, what impresses you about the Bengals offense? Nothing. Look, even if that's an innocuous statement or just a one-word answer, they are going to use it. They're going to put it on the bulletin board, and you're going to get fucking destroyed. Oh, my gosh. You would think that in all of the last 20 to 30 years that a player would know not to stick his foot in his mouth this week. Just say, I'm just here to try to be the best human I can be. Just speak in cliches. My God, I would make so much money as a public relations man because I would get on these fuckers' cases. Dude, what are you doing? You contradicted your statement within seconds. Seconds! What are you doing, man? Look, there's a lot to be impressed with the Bengals offense. Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow. The fact that the Bengals won last week with 3 of their starting offensive linemen missing. And I haven't even gotten to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Look, maybe you're annoyed with all the Bengals hype going into this game. I wouldn't blame anyone who's annoyed with the Bengals hype. But don't give them what they want. They turned the conference championship game at a neutral site in Atlanta between the Chiefs and the Bills. They turned that into motivation. It wasn't the Bills' fault that happened. The Bills are just innocent bystanders here that didn't get to finish out a game against the Bengals, which led to this entire situation because Damar Hamlin nearly died on a field. And the Bengals used that as a slight. Every single player after the game discussed it. Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase. You even heard it from Zach Taylor being snarky at the post-game press conference. They will find anything and they will turn it into fuel. This was a terrible job by Willie Gay here, man. You got to be better than that. You have to. Anyway, one of the topics that I wanted to dive into on this show has to do with something that I don't know the actual cause of, like how it all started. He is him. I'm going to look it up right now. He is him per Urban Dictionary. He who thinks acts like God. That's pretty good. You know what? That's a pretty good definition. He is him. And I guess it's capitalized him. That actually makes a lot of sense now that you read it like that. But that's become a hip saying for all the kids these days. I'm trying my best to look like I'm a Gen Zer, but I feel like I look like the son of a rich kid right now with the clean-shaven face. I definitely look younger, so I got that going for me. But I definitely look like somebody who is going to say, do you know who my father is? Or perhaps like try to sue you just for no reason at all. Do you know my father's a lawyer? Anyway, as far as the most him, I'm going to try to use it as part of my lexicon. And listen, we all die if we don't try to incorporate some of what the youth does. And maybe we don't like the music, and maybe we get fucking annoyed with the fact that they say things like, yo, I got to say, we're looking at this game. I really think that Brock Purdy's mid. Oh, God. For real. He's mid compared to all these other quarterbacks. For real. 100. He's just mid. For sure. I don't think they say for sure. But anyway, if we talk about who is him among the quarterbacks that are playing this weekend, it is obvious that Brock Purdy is not him of all these guys. Maybe someday he will be. And Jesus Christ, if the 49ers do win this game, you might be hearing a lot of conversation about how Brock Purdy is him. I will say, like, every now and then he can do surprising things, but there are some limits. There certainly are some limits. Coog Blaze is suggesting, twitch.tv/Gallant Says, to paint over the beard on the sign of the Gallant Says podcast logo behind me. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave it like that. Back during a time where I actually had less hair then. I lost a shit ton of hair when I moved from Houston to Seattle. I actually started taking like finasteride and like doing Rogaine and stuff. It was depressing. I went back to my hairstylist. I hadn't cut my hair in like a year because of the pandemic and because I didn't trust any hairstylists. And Annie, who's wonderful, and DM me if you want to get a great haircut. She gave me this haircut. She's fantastic. She said, Paul, what the fuck happened? You lost a lot of hair. And I was like, I did? And she's like, yeah. And then took a look at before and after. And was like, holy crap. So I start taking, I think either Hims or Keeps. I forget which one. And yeah, like a couple years later, the progress is actually crazy. Anyway, where the fuck was I? Oh, yeah. Brock Purdy, not him. Brock Purdy is not him. But the other guys could be him. I think we all like Joe Burrow a lot, and that's where this conversation actually comes from. Joe Burrow at a press conference was asked the following. Let's see if we can let me turn the volume on for this.
Joe, the mic caught you last game screaming that you're him. What is it saying, I'm him?
Did I say that? Sometimes you black out there, I guess. I don't know.
Joe, the mic caught.
So, I mean, you hear that, and the guy's so fucking confident. I would just like a little bit of that confidence, just a little bit. Wouldn't we all? What was in Space Jam and Michael Jordan? Or no, was it Bugs Bunny? They get like, oh, it's Michael's secret drink. It gave everyone confidence, and it actually just turned out to be water the whole time. I don't know why they thought that it was going to turn things around against the Monsters, but hey, they believed. Confidence is key, and Joe Burrow has probably more confidence than anyone that we've seen in recent NFL history. So he's definitely up there when it comes to him, but he's kind of a try-hard when it comes to the him stuff, you know? He dresses awesome. Like I love his style, turtlenecks, the mink coats. There's a little bit of Joe Namath flair to him. For those who don't know, Joe Namath, the quarterback of the New York Jets back in the 1960s. Most famous probably for back in 2004, drunkenly trying to kiss Susie Colbert in the middle of a Monday Night Football broadcast between the Patriots and Jets. Burrow has some vibes of that guy. Patrick Mahomes could be him. He could be him. But he has an obstacle in his way. Because clearly he's the most aesthetically pleasing quarterback of all the guys that are playing this weekend. 100%. I mean,
we got an update on
there's nobody else. Sorry, I'm loading up the clip. It's going to show why Patrick Mahomes can't be him. Mahomes can make any throw on the field. He does crazy things. He busted his ankle, and he's yelling at Andy Reid, hey, keep me in the game. In the midst of that Chiefs-Jaguars game, blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, if you're of the belief he's not the best quarterback in the game, I don't know what to tell you. He is. Unbelievable at eluding pressure, making any throw. I mean, we were lauding him for incomplete passes in that Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that the Chiefs weren't able to win. He is an incredible player. And considering what he has done without Tyreek Hill this year, which must have been a lot more difficult, nothing against Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And, of course, he does have, working with him, a guy by the name of Travis Kelce. So, like, it's not like he's throwing at nobody, but, I mean, he's done an incredible job this year. That said, you can't be him if you sound like this.
Yeah, I thought I had a good day yesterday. Obviously, things you had to work through here and there. But overall, probably better than I expected, being able to go out there and throw the football around and get the reps in that I needed to get in.
I feel bad for Mahomes. Because as far as real ones go, he went to Texas Tech. He's supposedly great at drinking. He puts up with a lot of shit in his family and never says anything about it. Jackson Mahomes, TikTok star, his wife, who can be a tad insufferable online. I'm sure they have a great relationship, and maybe we shouldn't base a person entirely off of how they act on social media. But you know, he's working against a lot, and sadly, he's got to work against the voice. He can't be him. He can't. Jalen Hurts is him. Jalen Hurts can run people over, and I think that both Mahomes and Burrow are better as quarterbacks. But I think that with Jalen Hurts, who was wearing a breed of one chain after the game against the against the New York Giants in the divisional round of the playoffs, he's a guy who's subtle, doesn't try too hard. Burrow at times seems like he's trying too hard. Doesn't seem like he may have been a dork at some point, which Mahomes does, even though he's the son of a major league player. Hurts is him. I wonder how Hurts will do this weekend. He's got a lot of support around him, but I'm very curious to see how that one goes. I do think, though, that the Eagles will win that game, and I also think that in case you're just tuning in, that the Bengals will win, and it'll be Bengals and Eagles in the Super Bowl. While we're on the build-up to the NFC Championship game, how many guys have ever heard the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni? Have you ever heard him speak? Earlier this week, after the Eagles beat the Giants, Sirianni compared Jalen Hurts, the guy that we call him, to Michael Jordan. He was pressed on it, and this guy's something else. This is maybe 2 minutes and 10 seconds that you're never going to be able to get back, but here's Nick Sirianni.
I mean, Michael Jordan's the best basketball player of all time, and I get arguments back and forth with our players. I think, in my opinion, right? Because my height of watching I'm not trying to start a debate here or anything like that, but in my opinion, my height of watching basketball and who I always wanted to be as a kid growing up was Michael Jordan. And so, I don't think I'm going to get many arguments that he's the best basketball player of all time.
Pause for a second. If you're calling somebody Michael Jordan, they have to be the best of all time at what they do, right? Okay, that's all he should have said. He should have just moved on. He should have said, yeah, I probably was a little bit too high in the praise. But nope, this guy doubles down. And Sirianni's a bit of a panderer. You might have noticed in some of the press conferences over the course of the past week. He's like, I can't believe that people think that Eagles offensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon sucks. He's going to be a great head coach somewhere. Maybe he'll be the next Houston Texans coach. Does sound like, though, as of today, that D'Amico Ryans is the leading candidate, and everyone's going to throw a parade, I think, if they were to get him, based off of some of the despair I saw online yesterday about, if they don't get D'Amico Ryans, I'm going to kill myself. But anyway, back to the NFC Championship game, and Nick Sirianni trying to justify comparing Jalen Hurts to Michael Jordan.
But the things that, Michael Jordan, you're able to see a lot of things about him in that the Last Dance thing, about his competitiveness and about his just desire and will to win.
Yes, he was an asshole to his teammates because of his desire to win. You could actually, if you really wanted to, put two and two together and get under Nick Sirianni's skin. You could say, well, isn't Nick Sirianni saying that Jalen Hurts is an asshole behind the scenes? Anyway, continues Nick Sirianni trying to explain why he compared Jalen Hurts to Michael Jordan.
And so when you make that comparison, you think, again, when you guys asked me about Jalen, the first thing as good as he's played this year, right, as well as he's run the football, as well as he's thrown the football, reading defenses, accurate throws, as well as he's done all that, what you notice first about him is his will to win, his competitive drive. And so that comparison is kind of in that aspect of it. Again, was I around Michael Jordan?
I'm going to pause for a second. He just keeps going. And going and going and going and going and going. He's talking out of his ass. This is somebody who just talks for the sake of talking. Bro, just wrap it up. And by the way, we still got a minute to go.
No, but I was able to watch from afar when I was a kid. But then also, you're able to watch these documentaries and you see that common denominator of those things. The first thing you asked me about Jalen, I always talk about is all those things, all the intangibles that he has. And so that's where that, that's where that's coming from, is just that will to win. It's at a different level. He had that big chain on. What did it say? A breed of one. He's a breed of one. That's who he is.
See, he could have just said that. Oh, he's wearing a breed of one chain, and I think Michael Jordan's a breed of one. But, I mean, long, convoluted, 1 minute and 45 seconds to get here. By the way, we still got some more time.
He is, he's unlike anybody I've been around, just with how much he loves this game, how much the winning drives him, how much getting better every day drives him, how much, leading drives him. He's special. He is a special dude. And that's where really I was coming from with that, in the sense of man, these guys they're built different.
They're built different. He's special. That's why I compared him to Michael Jordan. There's a lot of other special people in the world, dude, that you don't have to make the comparison to Michael Jordan. So 2 minutes and 10 seconds of Nick Sirianni. Got to say, though, if the Eagles do make it to the Super Bowl, more Nick Sirianni is going to be fun. Remember when he fucked up at his initial press conference? I forget how he fucked up with the Eagles. I think he just started stumbling all over himself. By the way, who hasn't? I do it all the time. It's always a shuddering experience listening back to try to improve on yourself or find clips to post afterwards. And you're like, oh, Jesus, I'm going to have to splice things together so I don't seem like I'm a fucking idiot. But it's hard to speak publicly. But Sirianni's going to be something else. 2 weeks of him. Nick Sirianni. Man, pretty crazy the rebuild that the Eagles have done as quickly as they have, and pretty cool to see what kind of success the 49ers have maintained. Derpy Entertainment. I was going to enter with Kiss from a Rose or Enter the Sandman for my sister's wedding reception, but I knew better. And he said that he wanted to pull up to that song at his sister's wedding reception. Okay. What, do you want me to keep talking about 90s music? I guess I could. It is a Friday, but you got to offer me challenges, chat section. Twitch.tv/Gallant says, YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. I'll sing for you, but you have to actually ask for something. Reflect the Sun on YouTube says, I've said stupid stuff too more than once. We all have it. This industry, for me, where you're talking for a living and you're talking for a while for a living and you don't get to edit it and it's live, like fuck, shit happens. I think today I swore for the second straight Friday. I don't even know why. I just used fuck as a filler word. And I was like, damn it, shit, fuck, shit. Oh, shit, I did it again, shit, piss. Like I'm Tourette's guy. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this podcast are like, Paul, you're not funny when you swear. You kind of sound like a crazy person. Whatever, okay? You don't get it. You just don't get me. One last thing before we hit the road as far as that 49ers and Eagles game. I've said before that I think that the Eagles' home field advantage is overrated. I do think it's loud there, but I think that Seattle's got the loudest place. And some people are going to argue Arrowhead Stadium and it broke the decibels record, but Seattle had a fucking earthquake when Marshawn Lynch scored a touchdown against the New Orleans Saints in those playoffs all those years ago when the Seahawks were, were they 8-8? Were they 7-9? I forget off the top of my head. Anyway, here's Trent Williams being asked about Eagles fans, and that's something he's had a lot of experience with, given the fact that he played for Washington for a couple of years. Trent Williams of the San Francisco 49ers.
You know, I think if you can operate in Seattle's noise, I think the noise, you can pretty much operate anywhere. But
If you can handle Seattle's noise, you can operate anywhere. So, I mean, that's a guy who's played in Philadelphia a lot. Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy's talked about how Seattle was prepping them for the Eagles crowd. Probably much more than a dress rehearsal there. Deebo Samuel said the 49ers crowd is the loudest. Well, that's bullshit, but Seattle confirmed loudest place to play. Reflect the Sun says 12's we loud. Yes, you are. Sometimes in a condescending manner, but it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, more Trent Williams.
You know, Philly is just one of those places where, you know, those fans, they make a difference. They get under your skin, you know, they yell at you, they don't stop. So I think that, you know, that'll be an added factor to it. But I think he operated good in the noise.
Are there people behind your bench that are screaming or what?
I mean, yeah, it's you know, it's when you walk into there, you know, they let you know that you're not welcome, and you know, we enjoy the home field advantage when we got it here, and then you know, it's the name of the game. You got to go there, you got to deal with it, and that's why we play the game.
I really hope they don't get rid of home field advantage in the conference championship games like we talked about earlier on the show. Might be a possibility. The NFL used Damar Hamlin to throw that out there. Ooh, we could make money off of this. Those fuckers. Anyway, okay, so there's 4 possible Super Bowl matchups. There's Bengals-Eagles, which is what I think will happen. It would be crazy for Joe Burrow to beat Patrick Mahomes 4 straight times like it's Tom Brady over Peyton Manning early stages of their careers. But with Mahomes being banged up, with the way the Bengals have been playing most recently, I think that's going to happen. And that's probably the best Super Bowl matchup, too, because you're not going to have 49ers fatigue. Well, can Kyle Shanahan make the right decision at the big moment? Or can Brock Purdy be the next Tom Brady because he was Mr. Irrelevant in the draft? Like, that is a is a long, overplayed storyline destined to happen if San Francisco gets in. You will have an insufferable amount of Philadelphia fan content should the Eagles get in, and that's going to be annoying too, especially for anybody here in Houston who, watched the World Series between the Astros and Phillies. And Phillies are like, yeah, you've never played in front of a crowd like us. And literally Ryan Presley of the Astros said, no, that's not Seattle. It's pretty funny. Seattle baseball with a bad baseball team historically, or football, it's like always the loudest place. Reflect the Sun argues this. I think Mahomes is around 17% of the cap next year, too. If history says anything, this is their last shot for Kansas City. It might be. It's tough to say the last shot because, they still won the AFC West division that we thought was going to be the best in the league. If the Chiefs make it against the Eagles, it's also going to be a pretty insufferable week, too, because you're going to have a lot of Andy Reid conversation. And Philadelphians are going to act like they appreciated Andy Reid, and they didn't. Philadelphians treat some of their best players ever, like Donovan McNabb, like dog shit. They hate Terrell Owens, who played on a broken leg in a Super Bowl for them. I get that the way that it ended was rather on brand for T.O., selfish, dickish, but, the guy balled for you in Super Bowl 39. And they shit on Andy Reid. Dude was consistent. I get it. He didn't finish the job every single year, but come on, guys. You treated him like he was a second-class citizen, and that's what's going to suck. If this turns into an Eagles and Chiefs Super Bowl, you're going to have the Andy Reid storyline all week long because of Andy Reid formerly coaching in Philadelphia. I don't want to deal with that one. Bengals and Eagles is the way to go. And you're going to get a lot of Sirianni. Maybe a little more Zach Taylor, who has been underrated at the podium. And the Bengals are going to find some way to motivate themselves through some bullshit. Be like, oh yeah, people think that cheesesteaks are better than Skyline chili. What the fuck, dude? That's outrageous. Anyway, that's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. If you haven't already, please rate, review, roast me, subscribe, or please watch it in video form. I think I'm way better. Much more entertaining when you can see my face moving around all crazy. Look at my eyebrows. Twitch.tv/Gallant Says and YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Reflect the Sun. One last question. How did they treat Doug Peterson? I was surprised he left so soon after that amazing Super Bowl. It seems like that was a top-down organization thing, but they had some questions about Doug Peterson too. I would know half my family's from Philadelphia. Anyway, big thanks to everybody who tuned in to today's show. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and that you enjoy the conference championship games. So long, farewell. We'll be back at it next week, Monday, 1 o'clock, talking about